views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Are you ready to heal your mind, body, and spirit? You can give yourself the gift of whole body wellness. Stay tuned for the next hour as Audrey Michel brings you the new hit show, Rewired Life Radio. Learn to love, heal, celebrate. On Transformation Talk Radio, Audrey is going to take you on a journey to healing and wellness by sharing her infinite wisdom and creating incredible conversations with the expert guests she brings on. Get ready to rewire your life. Here is your host, Audrey Michel.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Rewired Life Radio, where we learn to love, heal, and celebrate. I'm your host, Audrey Michel. So you guys, I am so thrilled. It's August, which means we are kicking off a new topic. And I have decided with the month of August, I'm going to kick off a campaign of juiciness and discussion around the lessons in my online masterclass called Soul Awakening. So this is a 6-week class all about learning to rewire your life through the concepts of learning to love yourself, heal your body and mind, and celebrate life. So a couple weeks ago on the show, I introduced this idea of neuroplastic pathways and how we short circuit our emotions. And I got a lot of questions about personal experiences and how to shift out of the patterns you seem to be stuck in and frustrated with. Essentially questions of how to rewire your life. And that is exactly what this class, Soul Awakening, is all about. It's 6 weeks. It's 6 weeks of understanding what your patterns are and learning tools to help you shift and rewire the patterns and create positive patterns and create the life that you want to live. So I've decided on the show for the next 6 weeks, we are going to discuss the topics within Soul Awakening. And I've found some amazing women to help us dig even deeper into these concepts. So over the next 6 weeks, we're going to talk about the topics are going to include how to show yourself some love, how to shift from not feeling good enough and shifting into worthiness, how to unlearn negative patterns and redefine what success in your life would look like. And then we're going to talk about how to nourish your mind, body, and spirit, followed by an awesome discussion about celebrating life with gratitude and joy. And then rounding out this discussion of love, heal, celebrate with a challenge to jump. So I am thrilled. I've been having some amazing conversation with women across the country and in Canada, which my lady today, Miss Carolyn, is from Canada. She's going to be sharing with us through the topic of showing yourself some love. So it's been really fun. I've been really digging deep into these concepts and hearing what they mean to other people, which is really great. And I'm excited to share that with you guys. So again, this process to rewire your life, to break the unhelpful short circuits we've created with our emotions, is this process that I used to heal from 17 years of chronic pain and disease. And it's what I continue to use to live aligned with inner wisdom and aligned with my higher self. So this is my passion. I am clear that this is my purpose. It's my life work. And I am so dang excited to spend the next 6 weeks immersed in these awesome discussions with women from across North America about empowering women to heal and how to rewire your life. So like I said, today's show is all about showing yourself some love. So this first step in this showing yourself some love is the first step in rewiring your life and breaking these short circuits we have created with our emotions. And so we must find unconditional love for ourselves. So again, during my show on July 19th, if you haven't listened to it, I spoke all about these neuroplastic pathways, which sounds complicated. It's not complicated. We actually all have these and we use them on a daily basis, minute-to-minute basis. But the example I like to use to explain this is a toddler learning to walk, right? So these neuroplastic pathways are kind of like our learning system, right? And so anytime we learn anything, physically, emotionally, spiritually, good or bad, we are creating these pathways, these circuits within our brain. And the more repetitive we are in it, the stronger these pathways get. I don't know if you've heard the saying goes, practice makes perfect. Well, I'm not sure practice makes perfect. I think practice makes a pattern, which might be good or bad. And so how they work, and again, the example I like to use is a toddler learning to walk is, that's a very stumbly place to be. And as they slowly learn the movements of, one foot in front of another, there's a lot of falling, there's a lot of crying, and but then there's a lot of excitement too with mom and dad or whoever's raising them in this process to learn to walk. And you can apply that to anything, riding a bike, learning to love yourself. It's all very similar in that, if a toddler falls while they're walking, of course we scoop them up and we give them unconditional love of, it's okay, and you'll get it, and just loving on them, right? And then we shift into healing whatever it is they need, whether they physically hurt themselves or now they're emotionally maybe a little bit scared to do it again because they bumped their head or whatever. So there's healing, right? And so there's different tools that they or we would use for them in the healing process. And then there's celebrating, right? So we all get so excited when they take their first step, right? So this is giving them what you would call neurofeedback, positive feedback in the realm that they are doing it right. Like they're taking a step, and, that's a lesson that they get to learn in life that we all use. And so when it comes to our emotions, the same thing is true. So if you have, let's see, the example, I'll just go back to the example that was used with a caller 2 weeks ago about their family, right? They're tired and exhausted after they've seen their family. So this person has essentially created this neuroplastic pathway short circuit in their mind that when they go to see family, they're exhausted. And over time, it has just built from, in my practice, what I like to call like bushwhacking through the jungle of a pathway, right? A really hard path to a freeway path, like a very quick path from A to B, of knowingness, right? Like they just know in their mind, when I go see my family, like they're exhausting, and we have created this knowingness for ourselves. And so the healing comes in breaking that pattern, and essentially rewiring it, healing, and in the good sense, when we're trying to create a positive pattern, we want to turn that pathway in from, again, bushwhacking through the jungle, having a gnarly footpath through the jungle to the super freeway. That's what we want in the positive realm. But when we're trying to break up those negative patterns, we want to go from what we've created as a super freeway. We actually want to get back to a really harder, well, that's not the word I want to use, but get back to that bushwhacking through the jungle, and essentially eliminate that pathway. We want to break that up completely so that when we go back home, we're able to be present with our family. This person's able to be present with their family and not be tired and not be exhausted, and start to learn the tools that they need to heal for themselves and to be able to sit with their family in a way that makes sense for them, in a way that when they return home makes sense for them. So I'm going to continue to use this example, which I like to call infant legs. If you can think about, what it is like for an infant to be learning to walk, right? Like it's very confusing. It's very hard. There's lots of steps. And so the same can be applied to our emotional neuroplastic pathways when we're trying to work through some of these patterns that have existed for, I'm 36. So some of them have existed for 36 years. And breaking those ones and rewiring those ones, they're hard, they're confusing. You get tired, you need to lay down, you need to take a break, just like a little infant does. So I wanted to repeat this story on the beginning of this show to kind of set us up for the next 6 weeks and how I plan on speaking into these topics and about rewiring your life. And so if you can hold that image of infant legs, quote unquote, infant legs, when we're learning how to rewire our life in a way that makes sense for each one of us individually, it kind of makes sense when you're sitting in the roughness of, a breakup or a new relationship or, whatever it is that you are working through. We've all been in that confusing place of just like, what is going on? We've got our infant legs. So we're going to use that example in moving forward and trying to understand our emotions. So when it comes to showing yourself some love for today, what is the first thing you do when a kiddo is learning to walk when they fall down? We show them some love. So that is what we are talking about today. And one of the things I see most often with clients and myself is we're the last ones that we show some love to. I'm really hard on myself, and I think most women, especially the ones that have showed up in my coaching, it's not uncommon, and it's definitely unhelpful that we are the most hard on ourselves. But there's no learning or shifting until we're able to come from a place of love for ourselves. So for the next 2 segments, I'm super excited. I'm going to be joined by a woman, Carolyn Colling. She's going to be sharing her story and her work around finding unconditional love for herself and how it is ground zero for change. So like I said, in the final segment of today, I will be taking your questions. So if you have any questions about how to show yourself some love, or you're curious about how to figure out where you are missing unconditional love for yourself, you can call in and ask your question at 800-930-2819, or you can, of course, go to transformationtalkradio.com and type in your question as well. So we need to take a quick break. You're listening to Rewired Life Radio with me, Audrey Michel, as we talk about showing yourself some love. Of course, if you're interested in learning more about my coaching or where to find free meditations, you can always go to audreymichel.com. And of course, stay tuned. We are going to welcome today's guest, Carolyn Colling, a transformational mindset coach, to the show to learn more about what unconditional love means for yourself and for her work. So stay tuned. We will be right back.
Are you ready to stop stress, anxiety, and low self-esteem from running your life? Join award-winning author Dr. Friedemann Schaub for Empowerment Radio and learn breakthrough solutions to switch out of survival mode and approach every day with great ease, joy, and purpose. Tune in the first and third Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific to Empowerment Radio with host Dr. Friedemann Schaub on Transformation Talk Radio. Visit thefearandanxietysolution.com to learn more.
Transformation Talk Radio is dedicated to the education and awareness of Lyme disease.
Welcome to Lyme Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Pat Basile, the host of the Dr. Pat Show, and I am so thrilled that we've created this venue for all of you out there.
Dr. Pat Basile will be bringing the most innovative, groundbreaking information, research, treatment innovations, and stories from those it affects every day.
What we have heard is that you want to ensure for us that we keep positive, holistic, uplifting, transformative talk radio on the air. We're excited to bring you the contemporary conversations about Lyme disease.
We promise not to let the light fade on Lyme.
So fasten your seatbelts. We've got lots more to share with you in the weeks to come.
Tune into Lyme Talk Radio with Dr. Pat and help keep our mission strong on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Tune in to The Truth is Funny with Colette Steffen each Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This hit show will have you thinking outside the box and riding the wave of infinite potential. Join Colette on the Higher Self Network, inspiring listeners to shine their brilliance and ensure success while roaring with laughter as they recognize the humor of the giant cosmic joke. Visit thetruthисfunny.com.
Gain powerful insight and practical tools to support you on your spiritual journey. Access your higher self and tune in every second and fourth Thursday at 12 p.m. Pacific to A Life Untethered with Andrew Martin, Walking the Path of Freedom. Andrew is a highly attuned, intuitive oracle, energy worker, spiritual teacher, and international radio host. For more about Andrew and his services, visit thelightones.com.
Calling all moms, it's time to awaken your vibrant, intuitive, loving self in every area of your life. Join host Debbie Pokornik as she shares thoughts, stories, and tools to help you stand in your power. Listen to Vibrant, Powerful Moms helping everyday women create extraordinary lives. Mondays at 2:30 Pacific, 5:30 Eastern. For more information about Debbie, visit empoweringenergy.com. That's empowering with letters NRG.com.
Okay, we are back on Rewired Life Radio. I'm your host, Audrey Michel, and today we are talking about how to show yourself some love. So in the first segment, I talked about how rewiring your life takes starting with unconditional love for yourself. And now I want to introduce today's guest. So Carolyn Colling is a mindset coach and personal development strategist. I have to tell you, I fell in love with Carolyn immediately, and I cannot wait for you to hear her story and her perspective on what unconditional love means to her. Carolyn, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. I have to tell you guys, I was just like, Carolyn, I haven't known you very long. We met on Spirit Junkies. We both have gone through Gabby's class, but in speaking with you, you're just like such a warm presence that I was just like, oh, I love this woman. I'm so excited.
That's so funny. I felt exactly the same. You know, it's interesting when we connect with people, when we're on that same wavelength, right? It's just, if you feel like old friends.
I know. It was a matter of like 20 minutes. And I was just like, I love you. You're going to be on my show. Let's talk about this.
I love it.
Yes. So let's get to it. So I found your story to be so inspirational. So how did you come to a place of finding unconditional love for you?
Oh, well, you know, my story is, would you like me to talk a little bit about the preset to my story and what I sort of...
You can share as much as you'd like.
Okay. So, you know, my story was one of those, that started with tragedy, really. When I was 17 years old, my dad was killed by a drunk driver on his way home from work. And it was just the most devastating, life-altering things that could have happened. And, you know, it really set the precedence for what was going to sort of unfold going forward. And going through that journey, what I found was, you know, when we're faced with tragedy, it does change us forever. There is no going back to the way things were, you know, but trying to press forward can also be very difficult because we all of a sudden take on, not only with the loss of somebody, but take on new roles. It's very interesting how dynamics change. And one of the things that I found going through this particular journey was after my dad died, you know, he was the bread earner. He, you know, sort of ran the household. my mom, wonderful mother. She worked. She did stay at home for a lot of years, and then she started to work as we got older. Although it was still one of those traditional families where she was allotted the grocery money, and my father sort of looked after everything. And so when he died, my mom wasn't really prepared for what was going to happen and the role that she needed to step into. And it was really difficult because she was going through her own dealings with grief. So what ended up happening overall is that unfortunately she turned, to alcohol to help her cope. And again, that changed all the dynamics of what we were used to for my brother and I. And I think, this is where we start to change and our needs change, and what we thought we were going to be and do in life. Everything sort of changes. And for me, I felt like, oh my gosh, all I want is a family. All I want is my family back. And that wasn't going to happen. So going forward, I found myself really reaching for that family structure that was taken away from me so tragically. And when we're reaching and grasping for things, not always are we super conscious about how we're going about it. And I ended up marrying a man who I still have a love for. He's the father of my 3 children, but it ended up being that I got so lost in the want and need for that family, for that, sense of protection, that sense, everything that I kind of lost, that, maybe I didn't choose the best person for me. And then I got wrapped up in losing myself in the whole thing, Yeah. And I think that that's the bottom line. There was a time when I sort of woke up and I said, okay, so everything that I knew to be true simply seemed so like a veil. I just didn't know who I was anymore. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know, I lost all of that, including self-love. We talked about that. And
the word you used was muted. And I really liked that you said your love for yourself got muted.
It sure did. It sure did. It was muted. So many things regarding myself was muted. My confidence. I was in a relationship that was very controlling, and I allowed that, and I lost my voice. I lost my confidence. I lost my self-esteem. All these things were muted. And there comes a time when you wake up and you say, okay, this cannot be it. This cannot be it. I mean, I was not put on this earth for this. So that's when I learned self-responsibility. There's always going to be circumstances out of our control. There will, there's not really a person that I know that hasn't been touched by tragedy of some sort. And I think that we decide, there's self-responsibility here. And what am I going to change, and how am I going to change it? And it can't be everybody else that's responsible. It has to be me.
Yeah. And that's what I loved about our discussion is you talked about how everything you need really is within yourself. And so then how do you fall back in love with yourself? And how do you shift that, right?
Yeah, well, I think, first off, I think there's an awakening. And each person that I have ever spoken to, clients, non-clients, there comes a time when they just say enough is enough. And there's that pivotal turning point. And then that's when your journey really, truly begins. Because now you're not allowing the river of life to just pull you in every direction. You're saying to yourself, okay, I've got to make some changes, and I'm going to start with me. The problem is that I find is people try and change everything around them. That doesn't work. You're still the exact same person, and your circumstances typically will follow suit. So if you're not aligned internally with yourself, then your outside circumstances will follow suit. It'll just keep, things will just keep happening, and you'll wonder, oh, well, why does this keep happening to me? Why me? Why me? Right?
Yeah. I like to say the universe likes to just check in and be like, hey, I have this lesson for you to learn. Do you want to learn it? No? Okay, that's cool. And then it goes away, but then it doubles, right? It doubles and it comes back and was like, hey, I have this thing. Do you want to learn it? No? Okay, cool. And then it goes away and it doubles again, and it just keeps like building until all of a sudden you're just like, okay, no, really, I got to figure this out. It's very interesting.
So true. It's so true. And I remember Oprah saying once, it often starts with a soft knock. And, the soft knocks start to become big bangs when you're not listening, and so it really is important to listen. And I think the bottom line, the biggest lesson that I learned throughout all of everything that I've been through is, and I'll just interject quickly, just saying that I ended up going through a very crazy divorce. It was awful. And my mother ended up passing away. So, again, those things were all happening. And that's when I realized, okay, hold it. How am I going to deal with all of this? And where's my responsibility? And what is my responsibility? And one of the biggest things that I learned was that it was always to myself.
Yeah.
Right?
What's your responsibility to yourself? That's so huge. So, Carolyn, we have to take a break quickly. Can you tell us how we can learn more about you?
Absolutely. So you can look me up on CarolynColling.com on my website. Also on Facebook under Carolyn Colling. Reach out to me at any time, private message. And also my group, The Conscious Creators.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break. I'm Audrey Michel, and you're listening to Rewired Life Radio. Again, if you want to learn more about Carolyn, you can go to CarolynColling.com. My website, of course, is AudreyMichel.com, and there's more information about my book, coaching, and free content, of course. And you can find out what's coming up next on Rewired Life Radio. So when we come back, Carolyn and I are going to talk more about her work around unconditional love. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Tune in to Lucid Planet Radio with Dr. Kelly Neff. This hit show will illuminate your senses and empower you beyond your daily stressors and hardships. Renowned psychologist and author Dr. Kelly will captivate you with far-reaching topics and amazing guests as you wake to the greatest version of yourself. Learn to tap into your intuitions, think critically about our world, heal emotional and psychological wounds, and follow your passions to live your dreams. The Lucid Planet. Welcome home. Visit lucidplanetradio.com for more information.
Curious about the meaning of life? Do you want to deepen your spiritual practice? The School for Esoteric Studies offers online training to spiritual seekers from all paths of life and individual coaching. Our courses synthesize Eastern and Western spiritual traditions based on meditation, study, and service applied to everyday life. The school also organizes group meditations each year to benefit humanity. Whether you're just beginning to reflect on the spiritual side of your life or are a more experienced spiritual seeker, the school warmly welcomes you to join our group. To learn more about our courses and services, please visit esotericstudies.net. That's esotericstudies.net. Are you struggling in a relationship and deeply craving some tools and support to get things back on track? Do you crave having a loving, compassionate relationship with Mr. Right, but always seem to pick Mr. Wrong? Well, Sarah Luce can help. She's created a 4-week online course starting September 28th that will teach you how to shift your energy and behavior to have new transformative outcomes. And you're going to get a personal one-on-one session with Sarah to ensure you get powerful, personal results. Sign up today at sarahluce.com.
Have you ever said to a friend, I am trying to be less stressed. I am hoping to meet someone special. Or how about, I am working on getting a job I love. Hi, I'm Eve from Elite Tarot, host of the weekly show Mainstream Metaphysics Radio. Words like hoping, wanting, and trying may seem innocent. However, they carry with them emotional weight that actually blocks energy. Next time you start to say these words, say instead, I am becoming less stressed. I am looking forward to meeting someone special. I am pursuing a job I love. While your brain may resist, note how your body physically feels as possibility of success suddenly appears. As an intuitive coach and professional tarot card reader, I work with clients worldwide on using energy effectively to embrace joy. If you'd like to schedule a session, please visit my website at elitetarot.com. That's ELITETAROT.com.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Rewired Life Radio, where we learn to love, heal, and celebrate. I'm your host, Audrey Michel, and today we are talking about how to show yourself some love. My guest is Miss Carolyn Colling, who is a mindset coach and has a beautiful story of finding unconditional love for herself, which she shared with us in the last segment. In this segment, we're going to shift into how this shows up in her coaching practice. And something we were talking about over the break was, she could have very easily stayed in this place of victim. Woe is me, like, look at all of that I've been through. Can you blame me for being angry or upset? And she was saying, that's where a lot of her clients shows up. So I wanted to start here, Carolyn, with what are you seeing in this victim mode and how are you helping people shift out of it?
Yeah, so victim, a lot of people don't realize they're in victim mode. And
I was just going to say that,
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to have a good friend that's just like, girl.
Exactly. And, when I'm coaching with my clients, it's a trigger word for them. So, and I often will say, hey, so how is this victim mode serving you? And I usually get not a very good response.
I would bet, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay, are you kidding me? After everything I've been through and now you're calling me a victim? Well, the fact of the matter is that we often will stay in victim mode because it is an easier place to be. It really does give you an excuse to be and be angry, be upset, to be hurt, and to really hold unforgiveness. And when I talk about unforgiveness, I'm not talking about all the events that have happened to you. I mean, I have clients that have been sexually abused. I have clients that have, had tragic losses. Or it doesn't even have to be, really these grand subjects. It could be just the loss of themselves and what that looks like. And the fact of the matter is when I talk about forgiveness, I often start with, okay, let's forgive yourself. Let's forgive you for whatever it is you think you should have done, or you think that, you should have reacted, or what you have or haven't done. Let's start with you. And as soon as they say, oh my God, like that, it's a one of those, oh my gosh, you're right. And as soon as you forgive yourself, it doesn't matter. I don't often encourage people to confront, the person that they're harboring feelings for the most. It's all about you and this internal stuff that goes on. And as soon as we're start to be okay with ourselves, and that's giving ourselves that unconditional love. See, the thing with the brain is when you praise and love yourself, the brain accepts it. And the reason why the brain accepts it from you is because the brain knows there's no hidden agenda. There's nothing else but pure love. There isn't somebody that's trying to get something from you or just wash things over or, saying things because there's something else they want, So that's the beautiful part about working with yourself is that you actually believe yourself.
Yes.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, I was just thinking, I think I mentioned this on last week's show or maybe whatever. I'm reading this author, Denise Duffield Thomas, and
Yes.
One of the mantra tools that she uses for forgiveness is for yourself is, I forgive you, I'm sorry, I love you. And I find myself using that fairly often. And when I feel like I need to shift into love for whatever reason and find forgiveness for myself, take responsibility for myself and, get back to integrity for myself. I forgive you. I'm sorry. I love you. And like you said, that's for me. They ain't got nothing to do with the other person, the other thing, or the whatever, the story. That's for me.
Yeah. And what's beautiful about that is, and people at home, if they're listening, should try this, because what happens instantly is a feeling of lightness. Mm-hmm. So as soon as you say, I forgive you, even just to say those words, I automatically get this feeling of lightness. And you can't help from switching your energy. It just changes.
Yeah.
And that's why they say that it's really interesting, because you can actually forgive people without saying it to them. And science shows that the minute you start not only forgiving yourself, but maybe forgiving others for whatever they've done to you, it can actually physically change the energy between you without ever exchanging a word.
Yeah.
Never exchanging a word, right? That is beautiful to me. I love that.
Mm-hmm. Well, it gets back to we're all connected, right? Like if you believe at the base of all things, we're one. Forgiving yourself essentially is forgiving the other person.
Right. Exactly.
And it's this lightness. It's like you're being held, right? In the first segment, I was talking about a toddler learning to walk is always my example with neuroplastic pathways and breaking short circuits, like creating them. We all have created short circuits. It's learning, right? It's learning to walk, whether learning to walk in quotes is, forgiveness, but it starts with this unconditional love. And I can't help but think this lightness is almost like being scooped up by your mom when you're learning to walk and you fall down and you just get scooped up by your mom and she's like, oh, you're doing so good, or, whatever. She doesn't have to say anything. It's just this feeling of it's going to be okay. You're being held in that space and you're going to learn and it's fine.
Exactly. And, being that we both have done Gabby's course, the one thing that Gabby says, and I totally believe this to be true, is that you are never alone. And then when we're going through tragedy or just, anytime we just need that unconditional love, we realize that cradling is your higher source, your higher power. It is. It's like being wrapped in angel wings. And you will feel better. And when you realize that there is that, when you hand something over and you release it, you're forgiving. Forgiving is letting go of the rope. You can stand in tug of war forever. But what does it feel like to let go of the rope? It feels, amazing.
Yeah. I was actually just going to ask you, like, what tips do you have for the listeners to shift into unconditional love? And I think you just nailed it. Just let go of the rope, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I first, that's what I recommend. I do recommend, another really great way to release things is either through journaling. I love journaling. I think putting pen to paper puts your energetic release out of the body through the pen, and then is applied into that paper. And you don't have to keep that paper. You can burn that paper.
I love doing that.
Keep it. I know, me too.
I keep a lot, but I burn a lot too.
Yeah, me too. If it's something that I needed to release that I don't want to have brought up again, I will burn it. If it's something that I just want to journal around to figure things out, I often will keep it and look back and say to myself, oh my gosh, look at how far I've come.
Yeah.
Right? I can connect the dots. I've really done a great job here. And then again, that's patting yourself on the back. Praising yourself, validation, all of those things. It should all start with yourself. Then you will never, ever search for it outside of yourself. It's great when you get it, but you won't be in search of it. Mm-hmm. Like I was so many years ago when I felt, really lost. I went searching for things instead of giving it to myself. And that's my lesson. That's my huge aha. Had I given it to myself to start with, I maybe would have, but again, I have 3 beautiful children. I have a wonderful ex-husband. I mean, it's all good now. Now, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. But I just adore this part about you where, and I think this is where we overlap, is that in any situation, we have to ask ourselves, am I doing the personal work? Right. So even thinking like in any relationship is just a mirror, and whatever you think you need out of that relationship, you actually really just need to give yourself. And that's a huge lesson. And meeting that situation with unconditional love and allowing that situation to be an awakening for us. Like, it doesn't have to be a huge thing. Like you and I had huge things, like huge awakenings, but it doesn't have to be that. It can, I'm continuing to have them all the time if you let yourself be woken up by different situations. So Carolyn, I cannot believe this. Our time it's time to go to break, which means our time is up. And so one more time, can you tell us how to learn more about you?
Absolutely. So you can go to CarolynColling.com onto my website, contact me through Facebook under Carolyn Colling, or in my group, The Conscious Creator. And there's lots of free coaching and lots of value. So absolutely, I love to hear from listeners, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. I, again, just find you to be such a warm presence, and your story just so human, the human experience. And so, thank you for joining us on Rewired Life. And, like I said, we have to go to break. So we will be back, and I am taking callers and questions at 800-930-2819. We'll be right back.
Awareness is universal. Establishing a living awareness through meditation brings peaceful, healthy, and creative well-being into your everyday life. The practice of living awareness, Spirit Fire's own meditation practice, is built on this belief and is designed for every level of practitioner. Each year, Spirit Fire hosts living awareness meditation retreats that allow you to explore the practice in depth at our retreat center in beautiful Western Massachusetts. Introduce yourself to meditation and the practice at the Foundation's retreat. Attend, in silence, a silent meditation retreat focused on mindfulness, presence, and nature, or be engaged with the meditation sittings themselves at the Deepening Retreat. Start adding to your awareness and attend a meditation retreat designed to cultivate consciousness in your everyday life. For details on attending a Living Awareness meditation retreat, visit upcoming events at www.spiritfire.com.
What is a brilliant culture, and how do we create them? Why are they important? Claudette Rowley has created a breakthrough 5-step process to help you align your culture with your business strategy for exceptional results. Looking for a culture that drives organizational excellence? Listen to Cultural Brilliance Radio, the second and fourth Friday of each month at 10 a.m. Pacific and 1 p.m. Eastern on Transformation Talk Radio. To learn more or work with Claudette, visit culturalbrilliance.com.
Gifted intuitive healer and spiritual teacher Sarah Luce brings her unique style to the hit show Small Steps, Big Breakthrough Radio on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Tune in each month as Sarah turns reality on end and shows us how to experience expansive results with simple yet powerful steps. Expect an enlightening bend on what you currently believe is possible. For show details and upcoming topics, visit sarahluce.com. That's SARALOOS.com.
Are you stuck in unhealthy habits, toxic relationships, and low self-esteem? Do you crave a life of inspiration, love, self-acceptance, and fun? Sounds like you're on the verge to your next big thing. Join Laura Richer, host of On the Verge Radio, helping you use your breakdown for a breakthrough, overcome life's greatest challenges, and live the life you want and deserve. Tune in each month on Transformation Talk Radio or visit SeattleHealingHypnosis.com for more information.
Thrive is what we experience when our mind, body, and soul operate as one. When we thrive, we excel on all levels. Thrive is the mindset that matters. It is essential to our being. Have you ever found yourself looking for the instruction manual on how to thrive? You'll find everything you need to help you feel strong, powerful, and peaceful in your own body. So don't waste any more time. Visit thrivebyjen.com today.
Okay, we are back on Rewired Life Radio, where we learn to love, heal, and celebrate. Of course, I'm your host, Audrey Michel. And we spent the last couple of segments talking with my guest, Carolyn Colling, about finding unconditional love for ourselves. And again, I'm taking your questions. And if you'd like to type in your questions, you can go to transformationtalkradio.com. There is a place where you can chat and send your questions in, and Justin on the back end will get those to me. Or you can call in at 800-930-2819. So for those of you who listen to the radio show regularly, you know the fourth segment is all about where I ask the same question, which is, how do you live your life from intention? So today is no different, and I want to frame this question a little bit differently. How do you intentionally show yourself some love? And I'm not talking about self-care. I'm talking about shifting our thinking in those moments where we're being really hard on ourselves. I'm hoping to have this woman on the show. Her name's Bobby Moore. She was one of the practitioners that I got to work with when I went on retreat in Sedona a few months ago. And so she does amazing work with families, and had been a part of this research project that looked at families and looked at them in a way of like emotionally functional, supportive families. And as you could probably imagine, out of the thousands that they studied, there was a very, very small percentage, like a handful of families, that they rated as functional, coming from both ends. So the husband and all of his family was functional. The wife and all of her family was functional. They have come together and created this emotionally supportive, functional family themselves. And one of the things that she talks about is that these families, when it comes to their emotions, when they notice, any one of them, when they notice that they are off, when things are left, getting a little left to center, feeling a little unaligned, you could visibly watch them take a break, whether that was physically take a break, like, go to a different room, or just kind of like internalize, take a break, and show themselves some love. and just be like, okay, things are not right here. What do I need to do for me to get back to this space of being aligned, right? And that is a very loving thing to do for yourself. And that was a huge learning for me to hear that that's possible. To just take that little break for yourself. And the better you get at it, the less amount of time it actually takes. So for these families, like literally it took them like a second to just be like, whoopsie, a little left to center. Where am I off? What do I need to acknowledge for myself? Where do I need to send some love? Where do I need some kind thoughts for myself? And then give that to yourself and then get back to doing what you were doing. And so for these functional families, like it's a quick thing. For those of us who maybe didn't grow up in this like, high level functioning emotionally family, it may not be that quick. I know it wasn't for me, and it's still definitely a learning curve of how do I intentionally show myself some love in these moments where I need it most, instead of being really hard on ourselves. And so I guess I was going to share, just for me, what does that unloving moment look like? Because I know one of the things in my learning and my journey and my awakening, I didn't know that I was being unloving to myself. I didn't know. Like, you don't know what you don't know, right? And I didn't know that I was being hard on myself. I was just being the way I'd always been. And that was a little bit hard on myself. And it's definitely one of the things that I still deal with. But how it shows up for me, how these unloving moments, how these misaligned moments show up for me is kind of getting drug into drama and littleness, if you can imagine that. The human experience moments where you just kind of get drug into drama, and it doesn't feel good. It feels heavy. It feels chaotic. It feels just misaligned, and like you're drugged down into the weeds of it. And I guess I was talking this morning in my women's group about, when you finally notice that you're in the weeds, like you're really in the river, like you are going down the rapids, you are in the emotion, you are in the drama. How do you get out of the river? How do you step back and get out of the weeds and, take a higher stance from above in, like you're flying over on an airplane looking at the situation. And I mentioned earlier in the show, Denise Duffield Thomas is an author I'm reading right now, and her mantra is, I forgive you, I'm sorry, I love you. And that has always worked really good for me. And also, Gabby Bernstein, since a lot of the women we're going to be talking to in the next 6 weeks, including Carolyn, are from Gabby Bernstein's masterclass, her Spirit Junkie masterclass. And so Carolyn and I were talking about this. One thing Gabby says is to take a step back and literally tell this to yourself: I step back and I let the universe lead the way. And that's literally telling yourself to get out of the weeds, to get in the airplane, to like fly over the situation at 30,000 feet and let the universe lead the way. So again, during this 6-week masterclass, Soul Awakening, I'll be sharing many more of my tools for finding not only unconditional love, but healing and celebration. And again, we're spending this month on Rewired Life Radio discussing these topics that are within my class. And so I'm real excited. And I can't believe it. The show is already over. So like I said earlier in the show, the topics are going to include today's being show yourself some love. Next, we're going to talk about how not feeling good enough, you can shift into worthiness. And then we'll go into how to unlearn negative patterns and redefine what success looks like for you. We're going to learn how to nourish your mind, body, and spirit. And then, finding celebration in your life with gratitude and joy. And then we're going to round out the discussion with a challenge to jump. Jump and your life will appear. So you guys, that is it for today. Rewiring your life is about creating a new nervous system by creating new neuroplastic pathways and breaking the short circuits to our emotion. We do this one choice at a time, one moment at a time. And with this new nervous system, you'll be a new person looking at the world with new glasses. And if you're ready to look at your life differently, to heal your wounds and to shift your thinking, let's talk. I have several ways to work together, from online classes to one-on-one coaching, and you can learn more on my website, audreymichel.com. All my information is on the contact page, and you can sign up for my quick tool, Listening to Your Body. So I want to thank my guest, Carolyn, today for sharing her work with us. Again, you can learn more about her at CarolynColling.com. And so thank you all for tuning into Rewired Life Radio. You can join me every Wednesday at noon Pacific time at rewired-life-radio.com. And next week on Rewired Life Radio, we will be talking about, as I had said, shifting into worthiness. And so, yeah, it's going to be a great discussion for the next 6 weeks all around my class, Soul Awakening, which will be available at the end of September. And so we're going to continue to talk about that. But in the meantime, you guys have a great week and tune in next Wednesday for more Rewired Life Radio.
You've been listening to Rewired Life Radio. Learn to love, heal, celebrate with author, speaker, and spiritual growth coach, Audrey Michel. You can listen live each Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Download the podcast and connect with Audrey at audreymichel.com. That's Audrey Michel, spelled Michel.com.